KIDO Talk Radio. Hey, it's Kevin Miller in the morning. Our great friend, Dennis Miller. We know him from comedy. We know him from commentary. We know him from humor. We know him from politics. I'm very intimidated to talk to him. Mr. Miller, thank you for joining us, sir.
Covers, thanks for having me. What's shaking?
We're trying to figure out this mess. I'm sure when you come here to the Treasure Valley, when you're coming to Boise to the Morrison Center, you're going to have a lot of material. How do you keep up with everything and make sometimes some icky things relatable and humorous, sir?
Well, I'll be honest, there's some things you just dodge now. You can't win, so you shut up. And you'll say, what are those things? And I'll shut up. It's just a polarized thing right now, and you got to use your head. You're up there for an hour. I don't even think I'd go on a college campus now. They're so uptight. I got a job at my local college campus as a safe space lifeguard. I jump in when the kids are drowning in their own BS. So I think you got to use your head. There's some things you're there for an hour to an hour and a half with a group of people. You got to wonder if you want to turn it into a meet the press war zone or do you want to get laughs. So I'll talk about 99.9% of the things, but there's some things you just think, this would just shut it down right now. America's not very open-minded. So you use your head tactically. But most things are on the board, Trump, obviously on the board for me, visiting California yesterday. And I heard that he was greeted in some instances by boos from the crowd. And I thought, the only way Trump could get a warm welcome in California now is if he came in illegally.
Dennis Miller joining us here on KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller. Again, is that counterintuitive? Because from what we've learned, and we've studied you for years and others, you always have to push the limits to get people to think. But it's got to be tough, as you've said, sir, in a politically correct world.
It's not tough. It's impossible now. I guess, like I said, most things are open to me. But I don't know. You must watch the world around you. Do you see open-mindedness? You're doing a comedy show. I like to get laughs. So there's some things that I just choose not to talk about because I'm trying to put a good product on the plate for the people who paid money that night. And if you go a certain route, it's just going to be a war zone. People are very uptight right now.
They are, sir. Dennis Miller with us. Kevin Miller here at KIDO Talk Radio. Dennis, let's take a look at President Trump. Your thoughts on him and what he's trying to do.
Well, listen, the left doesn't help themselves by waking up every day and saying, one, he's the stupid, idiot billionaire who became president. I don't think that works. And two, saying he's Adolf Hitler. I don't listen to stuff like that. Everybody says, when do you shut down? Whenever they say that the guy who hosted The Apprentice is Adolf Hitler, that's when I go, well, come on. If you don't like them, that's fine, but they look like he's driven them absolutely crazy over there. Their head is turned into poppable bubble wrap. And I'll say this about Trump. In that last election, they could have passed out a big sheet of paper that had two blocks on it. One said Hillary and one said not Hillary, and I was going to put my X in the not Hillary one. I think Trump's outer voice is gauche as it can be on certain days. I do believe his outer voice is an accurate depiction of his inner voice, whereas I don't think Hillary's inner voice and outer voice have ever even had a cup of coffee together. And I like certain things he's doing. When he's going to North Korea to possibly denuclearize the Korean Peninsula, I can tell you one thing. When he walks into that meeting room with that orange Ocean Spray cranberry juice cocktail logo hair of his, and you got the kid sitting across the table with the brillantine, bento box Batmobile haircut, you're going to have the entire human head hair experience bracketed in that one room.
Dennis Miller with us here. Dennis, your thoughts on the state of Idaho?
Well, I'm a homeowner in Idaho, so I like the state, but I can't say that I know Coeur d'Alene. I've talked to my friend Dennis Franz. I had a place up there, and he told me he has a great old amusement park with a beautiful roller coaster. I told him I like roller coasters, so I know that, but I'm mostly Twin Falls. They have a great Sonic, by the way. And additionally, I would say that I think Sonic ought to make Joe Biden the third guy in the Sonic commercials. And that would be a good tactical move for me. And then Sun Valley and Ketchup, I know, and I love it.
I never pictured you for a Twin Falls guy.
Well, listen, sometimes I go down there to shop and stuff like that, or you have to land there and spend a little time down there, but obviously mostly I'm up near Ketchum.
I'm with you, but I mean, you see that big dirt ramp where Evel Knievel was there. You got the Best Buy and the small mall. I'm wondering if there's culture shock when the Twin Fall folks see you, or you just you're almost a native.
No, that's one nice thing about Idaho, that nobody seems to give a crap about that stuff. All I know is whenever I go across the bridge, and you can walk out to the center of that bridge, and I look down where he took off, and I think, forget if it worked or not. Huge cojones to try that. I don't care if it was a motorcycle or a rocket. I don't know what to sit on one side of that on a ramp and get shot over that thing. You got to give Evel Knievel his proper. That is a courageous man.
Indeed. And you think about the era of that wide world of sports and everything else. Dennis Miller with us, Kevin Miller here at KIDO Talk Radio. Dennis, you and Bill O'Reilly tour a lot. What's that like to try and get in the last word?
We haven't anymore because Bill got let go from Fox, and I haven't. We've emailed a couple times. We did 2 dates in December, and then there were no booked for this year. So I think after a very nice 5 years, 65 dates, I think that might be over. I don't quite know what he's doing now. He might be working on another book, but he's not touring. So those are over. But certainly we enjoyed a healthy tenure out there for 6 years.
Yeah, it was great. So now you continue to evolve, you continue to move on. You're coming to Idaho. Are you going to hang while you're here in the Treasure Valley, or are you going to go to Ketchum for a while?
I think I'm in and out because I have dates in Spokane, and is it Spokane or Spokane? Spokane and Tacoma around it. So I think Boise might be in and out, but I'm shooting a special in June. And I've got a whole new hour, and I'm excited to show it off. And
we're excited to see you at the Morrison Center. Finally, sir, again, we appreciate your time. What's the magic for you to be in front of a stage, in front of a live audience? I mean, that's the ultimate acceptance or rejection based on what you say.
Well, that's the vig, isn't it? It's Cliff, that's the juice. As they say, I've been on movies where... honest to God, you do 6 or 8 takes, and you think, well, eventually I'd stumble into a good one here. So it
right.
kind of eats into the edge. But I'm telling you, stand-up crowds, they'll give you around 2 to 3 minutes because they know you, and they go, oh, there's the news guy. And after 3 minutes, it turns into Gladiator Camp and Spartacus, do well, or they take you out on your shield. So I still dig the action.
Well, we dig you, sir. We appreciate it. Dennis Miller, we'll see you at the Morrison Center. Thank you.
Later, Gator. Have a good one.
And you as well, Dennis Miller. Remember, Thank You Thursdays coming up this Thursday. By the way, we are out and about. We'll be at Mountain View High School, certainly promoting our school, securing our future, thanks to our friends at CapEd Credit Union. And again, we'll be giving away tickets to see Dennis Miller, floor seats to see Dennis Miller at the Morrison Center this weekend. Do appreciate my non-cousin Dennis for joining us this morning. Phone numbers here, 580-5436. 580-KIDO. Don't forget the Kevin Miller cash code. Today's code, one word, is fun. That's right, fun. And don't forget to listen in the 8 o'clock hour for code word 2 and code word 3 during Sean Hannity at 3:05. Remember, the more code words you get, the greater your chances are of winning up to $5,000. For more details, you can go to KIDOTalkRadio.com. But remember, the code word 1 for today is fun. Fun indeed. Mountain View High School Thursday, and we kick off the program today with R&R. Good morning, R&R. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
Hey, living the dream.
God
it's
bless
nice
you,
to
brother.
Nice to be back and hear your voice. I know Liberty Linda just adores you, and it's very obvious. First off, I get to travel a lot in, I don't know where Midville is, but I would like to invite Mr. Labrador to go over the hill from Boise to Jim County and be cognizant and very much aware that none of his signage can even be found in Jim County. And if he'd do a little bit of research, he'd find out that we love what the Little family has done for Jim County. I don't know if you're aware, Kevin, but you can come over to Jim County and head out to a motorcycle park that's third-generation ranchers. And I'm talking about, I don't know, probably 1,000 acres where BMX bikes and motocross bikes, and it's all a private park. I'd like to see anything Labrador's ever done in his life. Let him stay in Congress. So I'm not dissing on him. I'm just saying, get out of wherever he is. I really don't. I'm not being snarky. I'm just saying, Brad Little is a decent human being.
What do you make of the people that think Brad Little isn't their candidate, that they support Dr. Alquist or that they support Congressman Labrador? What do you say to them? Because, a lot of people have been commenting on those candidates, and I think you're the first pro-Brad Little guy we've had.
Well, here's what I got to say, Kevin. It's like, by their fruit ye shall know them. You can come. It's not very far. I just happen to be there right now. I like to hang out at Bruno once in a while in the largest single sand dune in North America. It's bass catching time. I am living the dream. Enough about me. But here's what I got to say. Anybody that trashes anybody ought to walk a mile in his shoes. Okay, Mr. Little is a wonderful human being. As I said, his family has done more for Idaho than I go back to 1839. Okay, of course it wasn't me, but it's my heritage. So, and then again with Doctor, I like it when you give him credibility, but when you call him Tommy, I know Liberty Linda calls him Tommy and Cynthia calls him Tommy, but Tommy's a grade school name. It's time for Doctor to grow up. If he wants to be a governor, he's a doctor. That's what I got to say about that, and I'm not being snarky.
Well, no, I call him Dr. Alquist. I think I'm the only one that does.
Well,
that's his title.
Yeah, that's his credibility. He's got cred, but the deal, in my professional opinion, and it is a professional opinion, it's like the only man that should even be talking on the radio this morning, it's not my voice, it ought to be Labrador. I'm calling him out. Get out here, get on the radio and tell us what you've done, and give us, here's one for you. Your non-cousin Miller, he's brilliant. He put, when he was talking about hairdos, that was just flat funny. That was over the top. But Doctor, and then Labrador, and then Brad Little, let's just have them in front of, some seventh graders and let the seventh graders, it's their country, it's their state, it's their future. Anything in this primary, there's, and even pro-life, that's a good human being. We don't need him $15 million to get a governor. What we need is human beings that care and want to change the future. Now, one last thing. It's like
Well, there have been a lot of things, but R&R, that's why we love you here at KIDO Talk Radio. You cover a variety of topics.
One thing real quick. I want to apologize publicly to Ronnie Caldwell. He is a true human being, and he cares about you. It just melts me sometimes when he calls in, because you can just tell he is not eloquent, but he cares deeply for you, and it's just so obvious. And so I want to apologize to him. It was something I said last year, but he's got more cred with me than, and especially street cred. That guy, that day he called in and told his boss, "Hey, listen, you can fire me," or whatever he said to quote. But it's like, I'm on the phone and I'm talking to Kevin. I like guys like that.
Well, we like you in R&R, and you continue to live the dream, bro.
I am living the dream. Peace out.
Peace out, my brother. Kevin Miller in the morning here. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO, Do want to remind you, KIDO Talk Radio, promote our school, secure our futures. This Thursday, we will be, once again, at Mountain View High School, courtesy of CapEd Credit Union and Team Mazda Subaru. Coming up next, well, look, there's not much going on locally. We can talk a little bit about the graffiti bandits. ACHD wants to deputize you for pothole patrols. Or we can take a look at the caravans of illegals trying to invade America. Your choice next with me, Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Thank you, Sean Hannity. Don't forget Lars Larson right after Sean Hannity. And don't forget Dennis Miller tickets. We're giving those away on Thursday. Thank you, Thursdays. Rough day for the stock market yesterday. Will it be rough today? And what about a trade war? What does it mean for us here in the Treasure Valley, our news partner, Channel 7? Remember, when you hear Channel 7 on the radio, you're listening to KIDO Talk Radio. Did ask this question. Could Chinese tariffs impact local producers? Well, we already know the answer to that because the governor has cultivated business with the Chinese. But let's take a listen from Channel 7 here on KIDO Talk Radio.
The China market for produce from the Northwest is pretty important to us. We export quite a bit.
Williamson Orchards and Vineyard is just one grower across the state and the region whose crops end up on Chinese soil.
There's premium money to be made there. You can send your product there and get it sold, and it helps to diffuse that supply demand of the domestic market.
Michael Williamson says bigger producers exporting out of the country frees up the domestic market for smaller growers and wineries like the Williamsons. But those economics are under threat now.
So if China's closed off, they're going to probably bounce back to the U.S. and the domestic market where we are present in, and that's where it's going to affect us.
In retaliation to the U.S. slapping duties on Chinese aluminum and steel, China slapped tariffs on up to $3 billion worth of U.S. goods, hitting 128 products.
So that means my buyers are going to have to pay more money on top of the price that we've already agreed to. And so that it makes it harder to sell into that market. And it made me nervous for some of the other wineries that we sell to. I know that they've been making inroads and making trips. It's not easy to get into the China market.
The fourth generation Idaho farmer echoing concerns spreading across the country today.
We won't see any fresh produce produced from the Northwest until starting in June.
And here we have it. Thank you to our friends at Channel 7, 580-5436. 580-KIDO. It's been years and years and years of hosting this program with you each and every morning where we talked about the Chinese, right? I mean, China comes in, they dump steel into the market, they have a booming population that needs things, that needs food. So Governor Otter and others, we're the only ones that expose that we have a Chinese office. The state of Idaho employs Chinese people from the Chinese government to sell Idaho foods to the Chinese, right? It was a big thing where they tried to put in the big foreign trade zone. Of course, we've been called names and such for that, but we did it. And now all of a sudden, President Trump's doing something about it, and everybody goes crazy. Oh, trade war, trade war, trade war. Well, what should we do? Should we just sit back and watch all of our goods and services be exported overseas? As someone once said, the greatest transfer of wealth in world civilization history. Or do we stop it? 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Apparently the folks on Wall Street have an issue with it. Do you? 628 traffic and weather together. All right, Larry, thank you very much. Showers during the weekend. Well, spring is here. And speaking of spring, don't forget to listen to Sean Hannity this afternoon at 3:05 for your chance to win cash. Listen for the code word. You'll hear me during Sean's show give you the code word 3, for the Win Kevin Miller's cash contest. You can win up to $5,000. The more code words you get, the higher the probability of winning that $5,000. For more details, you can go to our website, KIDOTalkRadio.com. Good morning, Maggie. And blessed to be a part of your day. Coming up, Tanya J. Powers will join us. Some of our other folks from Fox News Radio. And remember, when you hear Fox News on the radio, you're listening to KIDO Talk Radio. Our great friend Rachel Sutherland will take a look at the trade war, and, of course, John Decker as well. And if you're following the president on Twitter, he's been very active this morning, probably the most active I've seen and heard of him in quite some time. If you want to get those Twitter notifications, they are entertaining and informative simply by following Donald Trump on Twitter. Do want to remind you, Dennis Miller, who we just heard on the show. If you miss any of the program, you can go to our website, KIDOTalkRadio.com. You can hear our interview with Dennis Miller. And remember, on Thursday, thank you Thursdays, not only will we be at Mountain View High School, but we'll be giving you an opportunity to win floor seats to see Dennis Miller right here in Boise. Let's go to the phones. Our newsmaker line joining us now from Capitol Hill, Fox News Radio's Rachel Sutherland on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Rachel.
Hey, good morning, Kevin.
Good to have you with us here. So we've been hearing a lot of brushback concerning the trade war. Obviously, it impacted the markets. China strikes back. What's been the reaction on Capitol Hill?
Well, a lot of lawmakers are out of town, but there is concern about a growing trade war. I guess right now these United States and China just sniping at one another, but there is concern if these tariffs persist, it'll hurt America's heartland. The American Farm Bureau Federation yesterday, I talked to a spokesperson there, and they said that initially the tariffs may not hit very hard at first, but he was saying that if they continue, that you could see especially pork producers really face hard times. 25% tariff on pork producers. And, I didn't realize this, Kevin, but $1 billion worth of pork is sold from the U.S. to China every year. That's a lot of money. And with that 25% tariff, that could really hurt America's heartland.
You're right about that. And in a state like Idaho, where we do sell a lot of produce to the Chinese, that could have an impact. What was the reaction? And it's tough for you, Rachel. I understand because the lawmakers aren't there, but this issue involving the markets yesterday, I'm sure it's gotten a lot of people concerned.
Absolutely. The markets took a big tumble yesterday. Wall Street doesn't like uncertainty, and it certainly doesn't like a trade war or even the smell of a trade war. But one thing about the markets is they do tend to bounce back, and what I was seeing is futures were looking a little brighter this morning. I myself did not check my 401k because of, why check the volatility, but there's some who are nearing retirement, and so there's more concern about what's going on with the 401k. It looks like President Trump is really leaning on these countries and using a pretty strong-arm negotiation tactic to bring them to the table to negotiate better trade deals. The Trump administration has long argued that China has dealt unfairly in trade and has stolen our trade secrets. They say it's time to even the score. A lot of economists there's a lot of hand-wringing about this, looking out into the future. We'd have to go far back to see any kind of wide-scale tariffs to really predict how this would impact the economy long-term.
Well, you do have to wonder about that and whether or not, as the president has claimed, he's brought North Korea to the table because of his art of the deal-like statements and actions. Other news of the day, people are worried about this caravan coming in, the president tweeting about it, saying DACA is done because of the Democrats. Again, tough for you, Rachel, because there's no one there to react, but any thoughts on that? Any reverberations from the president's massive amount of tweets this morning?
He has been tweeting about this again. Yeah, actually, Senator Rand Paul was just on the channel, saying that he was trying to really put together immigration reform, but no one would listen to him. Look, I don't know if there's going to be an appetite for lawmakers to do much on immigration in an election year here. The president is calling on Congress to do something, including getting rid of the legislative filibuster right, which would bring that vote threshold down to a simple majority rather than the 60 votes needed. However, that would change the way the Senate does business, and if the shoe's on the other foot, Republicans may not like it so much. So, again, with this being an election year, the president can be upset if he wants and calling lawmakers. Doesn't mean they're going to do anything. This caravan being put together by a group called Pueblo Sin Fronteras, People Without Borders. Apparently, they're going to come to the border and try to seek asylum. And the president really keeping an eye on this caravan himself. He's really taken quite an interest in it over recent days.
Indeed. And it's nice to see the president very vigilant about this.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's really on top of it. And so, look, I mean, when it comes to asylum seekers, one person's asylum seeker is another one who's just trying to get in. I mean, the counter argument to these folks is that they're twisting immigration laws to be able to get into the country. Others are saying, look, we're a nation of immigrants, but the president really taking a personal interest in this, and you can see that. I mean, all through the weekend, yesterday, and now this morning again, more tweets about immigration.
I wonder if this will be the model for future presidents.
That's a good question. I think that each president really carves out their own way and exactly how they do things. So I don't know that anyone can ever replicate President Trump. I think he's truly a unique individual.
Spoken like a well-seasoned reporter.
Thanks, Kevin.
Rachel, you have a great day.
You too.
All right, Rachel Sutherland joining us here, once again proving how eclectic this morning show is. On KIDO Talk Radio, we go from the highest of highs, Washington, D.C., to Liberal Steve joins us now. Good morning, Liberal Steve.
To the lowest of lows. Go ahead and say it, Miller.
I would never say that.
Good morning, Idaho. The state that'll fall for anything and stand for nothing.
Now, that's not nice.
I know it's not nice, but it's true. And then having Dennis Miller on, I was going to call, but I know you wouldn't put me on with him. I had a couple questions for him.
I'm sure he's disappointed that he didn't get a chance to hear your brilliance.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure he is, with the Lear jets that he lands in Ketchum and goes to Twin Falls and plays poker in the back room. Supposedly, I don't know, you hear all kinds of stuff. It's just a rumor, though.
I've never heard that. By the way, have you been watching the movie Fargo lately? You're sounding a lot like you're from North Dakota or South Dakota or something.
Well, I was raised in that there territory, yeah.
It's not very entertaining.
Well, you know what? I'm not here to entertain you, Miller. I'm here to hit you with facts.
Oh, well, we look forward to that.
And what I was talking, what's with this Roseanne show coming back on?
I didn't notice I didn't notice we were talking about Roseanne. I believe we were talking about the people invading America or the graffiti in downtown Boise.
Well, you were talking about that earlier, and who cares about graffiti? Graffiti's always going to be around. Do you ever watch the trains go by?
I watch a lot of trains. When I see that train...
Yeah, and then you blamed it on California kids. That was, kids from California doing it. Come on, Miller. Stop with that, would you?
I'm stuck in Folsom. I'm sorry.
You just can't let it go, dude. And
can't let what
Miller
go?
Guy being... Huh?
Can't let what go?
About the graffiti. Who cares? It happens every day, and it's not just...
Not to this extent. I mean, it's a lot of tagging going on.
Oh,
and I can't wait for the law enforcement officers to catch these hoodlums and apprehend them and stuff them and cuff them. Maybe we could give them some frontier justice.
Yeah, what is frontier justice, Miller?
Well, if I have to tell you, you don't know.
Oh, you know what frontier justice is?
What's that?
That's a vote for little.
I know what this is. This is your tribute to Dennis Miller. You're doing a shtick as if you're on stage.
Well,
by the way, before we bid adieu, your thoughts on the governor's race? I don't think I've heard you talk about the president's race. I haven't heard you talk about the governor's race.
There's nothing to talk about. You got loser 1, 2, and 3 on the Republican side. You got loser 1, possibly 2, and maybe 3 on the Democratic side.
So they're all losers.
What's going to change?
They're all losers.
What's going to change? And what's with this Autism Day?
What about it?
Well, why do they have an Autism Day? I don't understand that.
Got me.
I think it's because,
Ron Paul Jim joins us now at KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller in the morning. Good morning, Ron Paul Jim.
Morning, Kevin. I just wanted to ask a question about this trade war. It seems that everyone is screaming and wringing their hands about the impact on the United States, the shopper, and the impact of the prices, and everything's going to go up, and and then the reverse, our exports. Oh my God, it's going to hurt a market and this and that. Yeah, $1 billion in the pork, but in reality, it's a 25% tariff. That doesn't mean they're going to stop buying pork. And so the impact isn't going to be $1 billion. It's going to be, 25% of, whatever people stop eating pork over there. They're going to pay more, or something of that nature. It's not like they're going to find other markets that are more competitive for our pork. And then theirs is going to find other sellers of pork that are probably, it's an insurmountable amount of calculation to figure out what the actual impact will be, because the consumer is what dictates that. And what we don't ever look at is the historical information we have prior to these trade agreements, our economy was doing fine. In fact, our GDP, and our country was number one in the world, and our agriculture was number one in the world. Everything about our economy was just fine, but we were given all this, scare tactics to prior to NAFTA. And we all saw what happened immediately after NAFTA is the exodus of companies from the United States to third world nations where they could take advantage of the lack of regulation, pollution, labor laws, anything like that, while they could still import their goods duty-free into the United States, the only economy, the only market where they want to sell this stuff. And, as a result, the same people that are screaming about environmental impact don't even look at those multinational corporations, which are, in fact, probably lobbying for stricter and stricter regulations so that it handcuffs any competitor within the United States from ever competing against their imported goods. So I don't have any problem with tariffs. I think what you'll see, with the tax reform and repatriating money is you would see an impact of, in a positive way overall. And, it'll bring back industry, it'll bring back jobs, prosperity will flourish, in my opinion. I would like to see more of it. In fact, I would like to see it replace the income tax, because my understanding is that income tax replaced tariffs years ago.
See, I would agree with you. I agree with you. I think that if this is the time where we stick up for the American workers, the American way of life, we've seen the greatest transfer of wealth. Nothing has been done about it. And so now you have some people being squeamish and the press going crazy, as the press will do. But let's face it, Ron Paul, Jim, we have to do something. We can't simply be a consumer-based economy. We've got to manufacture. In world history, exactly. I don't know of a country that has survived that hasn't manufactured things.
Well, the only thing the press left out is women and children hurt the worst. The frantic about everything is, that's their go-to thing. Women and children impacted most. That's the only. Anything they can use to pull on the heartstrings of people and scare them. This demagoguery never stops. And, it's funny. It seems like everything that the Democrats do is like the cheating spouse who blames their partner first for doing the same thing while they're the ones actually doing it. Whatever they're accusing is Donald Trump of, they're guilty of, and they're trying to deflect it. It seems to be a pattern of theirs.
No, I would agree with you, Ron Paul. Jim, thank you for the call, and thank you for listening.
Thank you.
All right. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Do you agree with the president concerning the trade war with China? And China strikes back, number one. Number two, graffiti. Does that mean we have more crime in Boise in the Treasure Valley? We'll talk about that. And the caravan of folks from Central and South America. Is it time to build the wall or give them a hug? Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Hey, Kevin Miller in the morning here, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Earl.
Good morning, Kevin. Great show as usual. Thanks to you and your staff. Would love to comment on the tariffs, but I did call about the caravan. And with that caravan of illegal immigrants, which I'm assuming almost all of them are, that is nothing short of an invasion. I can't imagine that a mass that big of people cannot be tracked by the United States government, either through satellites, et cetera. I'm sure we have satellites pointed at Mexico. We should know when they're coming. Even if they start to disperse, we'll have a general idea. They can't disperse so far that we couldn't have the National Guard mobilized because, again, National Guard, it is an invasion of people that do not belong in this country. And once you mobilize the National Guard, you can take care of them, arrest them, and ship them right back to Mexico.
Well, they're not even coming from Mexico. They're coming through Mexico. And Mexico has one of the most ardent immigration policies, one of the strongest. So I don't know why they're giving them the pass-through. unless they approve of this, which, let's face it, they do.
Exactly. Yeah. They are coming from, further south than Mexico. I'm sure there are some Mexicans in there as well. But again, point being is they're passing them through like it's no big deal because they don't want to take care of them. And they're throwing them our way saying, well, you should take care of them. And I agree with Trump that, we can make Mexico pay for this wall simply by adjusting NAFTA, adjusting the amount of aid. I'm sure we give billions of dollars in aid to Mexico or hundreds of millions of dollars. I don't know the dollar amount, but I'm sure there's a dollar amount of aid that we give to Mexico. I think it would be easy just to cut that off and say, okay, well, here's how much the wall costs. This is what we're taking off of your aid.
Well, and here's the other one. The biggest money Mexico makes is from the people that work here that send all the money back. So the president's talked about this. You just tax it. Well, any money that is wired back from the United States to Mexico, I mean, they make more money from us, from the workers sending it back to their families than they do with oil.
Isn't it just amazing that we lose? So, and to hear people talk about, well, we need the production assets in the United States. And then you hear people talk about, well, I can't get somebody to work in the United States for the pay that I give to illegal immigrants. I know some illegal immigrants that make a large sum of money. The biggest thing is that the employers don't have to pay, and I shouldn't say I know them. I know through a friend.
Earl, you're right. We'll get to that. God bless, Earl.
Okay. God bless. Have a great day, Kevin.
All right. You as well. Good morning, Dave. We love the Dave Ramsey. And, of course, don't forget, it is Thank You Thursday this week. 2 big events. Mountain View High School will be there, but your chance to win Dennis Miller tickets this weekend in Boise just by listening to Kevin Miller, no relation to non-cousin Dennis, only on KIDO Talk Radio. Good luck.